Are you heading to the protest? If you are, I'd like you to listen to this. I want to make some very important points. It's going up quite late because I had technical difficulties and I do need to read it, so I apologise for that, but bear with me, please. This is called From the Green Isle to the Green Mile. Is the planned protest a turning point or a fond farewell for fallen Ireland? Our motherland, as we know her, is under threat, and much like children ripped from their mother's warm and familiar embrace, we must hang on to her and fight like hell to stay in her arms because time is running out. We are facing the final leg of the journey in the iniquity inflicted upon us. So many things are coming together now to bring to fruition the agendas they have planned for Ireland and further afield. The grave of our homeland has been furrowed on our own soil, and it's almost too late to turn it all around. But not quite, not yet. Nonetheless, we are racing against time, and we must be careful to remain brave, focused, smart, discerning, cohesive. And crucially, we must rely upon ourselves collectively as a people. We are the authors of our own fate, and it's up to us what ending this story has. There are no heroes coming to save you or your families. No one person is able to achieve this, and to expect it is a fatal mistake that leaves you wide open to becoming blind when you need to see more clearly than ever as the darkness draws near. Existential wars like this are never easily or neatly resolved, and to think so will only slow you down and remove your sense of urgency and purpose. You cannot afford to make any errors, and you cannot afford to be divided. There is way too much division right now. Division you will never see replicated on the side of the radical left, and that's partially why they have infiltrated all our government departments, institutions, schools, media, etc., because they work together. Being divided makes you vulnerable to being picked off, and if you allow this, Ireland as you know her will be pulled along the Green Mile to her own execution. Right now, supranational entities and their puppets and the dolls see you as prey in the grass. So you must all gather yourselves, sort out your differences in private, and get ready to run as a herd. But don't run away. Run towards that which stalks you, and in doing so, avoid the plentiful distractions laid out to make you fumble and fail and divert your righteous indignation. If you are listening to this, you are already likely to be very vocal about what's happening to us. But now is the time to start talking about why this is happening to us. Right now, we are too focused on the symptoms affecting our dying nation and not enough on the root cause of the disease. If you don't know why all this is happening, then ask someone who does. Then pass it on and explain it to others, calmly and without hysteria. Help them to connect the dots. Help people to understand the future that's being laid out for them. Help them to see that all agendas are interlinked, even if they appear vastly different on the face of it. Knowledge is power. Also explain to them about Ireland's birth rate so they understand just how quickly the Irish will be replaced. For the past few years, approximately 25% of babies were born to foreign women, while Irish-born women had 3 times as many babies. But relative to their population size, foreign-born women had babies at a much higher rate than Irish women. They had 101 babies per 1,000 women, whereas Irish women had 53 babies per 1,000. In other words, foreign women are having babies at twice the rate of Irish women. Meanwhile, our young people are leaving in their droves and much of our native population is ageing and declining. Ask people how that will play out in the coming decades. Ask them why the government never incentivises Irish people to have children. Ask them why it appears the government is actively working against Irish people who wish to have or maintain a family unit. Ask them if they care if the people of this country are on course to be a minority in their own land. Tell them it's not about hating foreign people or foreign children. It's about loving your people, loving your children and your Ireland. You have a right to exist, to take up space in your own nation, just like the people from other nations have the right to do so in their homelands. And yes, it's okay and understandable to be angry at those coming in and receiving advantages over you. But remember, the government doesn't actually care about them either. They're a means to an end. They are brought in to transfer taxpayers' wealth, cripple the system and replace the natives. And worryingly, none of them are vetted. And yes, it's true for them. It's a case of Treasure Island. She is not in their heart, and why would she be? She is not theirs. She is ours, and we are hers. For us, it's less a case of Treasure Island and more a case of treasuring our island. But they wouldn't be doing any of what they're doing if it wasn't for our own establishment, who have sold Ireland and her people out to shadowy global figures who have plans more evil and more sinister than most can comprehend. People will always take what is offered. That is the nature of human beings. It's who is doing the offering that we must focus our efforts upon defeating. Ireland, in particular, is a nation earmarked for globalist destruction. If you believe in such, it could be said that in God's creation, this nation is the precious jewel in the heart of his crown. There is something so special about her, and therefore about her people, who are intrinsically tied to her in an unbreakable and spiritual sense, much like the native Indians or Aboriginal people are tied to theirs. Any sense of nationalism or personal identity deriving from ethnicity and ancestral ties must be eradicated. So take all I said into consideration, because we will lose if we do not figure out the best way forward, and fast. When I started out this video, I spoke of us being like children and Ireland as being our mother. And I think of a mother telling tales to her children. Now you may wonder why I'm bringing up stories, and you may wonder what that has to do with winning a war. And as such, I will draw your attention to a book called The Uses of Enchantment, in which the author Bruno Bettelheim aimed to help adults become aware of the importance of fairy tales and how they warn of real-life dangers and the darkness of the human heart. Fairy tales help us to find a way to overcome adversity, face threats, free ourselves, and sometimes they provide us with much-needed hope and inspiration. When I think of Ireland, I think of her as the Emerald City in the children's fairy tale The Wizard of Oz. I envision Ireland as a green, shining beauty, so magnificent. She is at the heart of the world and is central to the story. I liken the globalists to the dark forces and the government and media to flying monkeys, and the Irish people themselves to the Scarecrow, the Lion, and the Tin Man rolled into one. And just like those characters, we have always possessed the courage, heart, and intelligence needed to face down dark forces. We just have to believe in ourselves, which will bring much needed clarity. Also, like another central character in that story, we have always believed there's no place like home. Sadly, ours doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels less and less so by the day, which is why we must make each day count, particularly the day of the protest. Just like in the story, we need to make a stand for what is right, and that is where the comparison to imaginary tales ends. It's up to us now to write the next chapters of what is a painfully real-life tale. And if we don't do it right, we may just end up becoming nothing more than a forgotten land and people who only exist in the pages of a book. I hope to see you all at the protest.